Hey, Bloodworth here. This segment is cut out from the Easy Allies podcast, which we record every week. You can catch full episodes on Sunday mornings, or if you become a patron at $5 and up, you can get early access and get those on Fridays. Thank you and enjoy. Dragon's Dogma 2.
Fucking goaty, dude. Goaty, dude.
Huber's finished. Isla's put a ton of time in.
I've probably got more time in it now than Huber did, but I'm right at the end also. I'm intentionally going slow and because I don't have to finish and write a review.
I'm still stupidly early, but yeah.
But yeah, I think I'm 60 hours in, and I just discovered a bunch of stuff I missed like earlier on. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's a game where things are very easy to miss. There's a lot of just ups and downs in the terrain and little pockets of things. And
I don't want to overhype anything, but this is one of my favorite games of all time. I'm not even kidding around right now.
I agree.
Like, I love when games don't hold your hand. I also love when games hold your hand, but I prefer when they don't. And this year I've been talking a lot about how I've been against the side quest. How like side quests have just become so mundane and there are so many of them in games. I'm thinking of Rebirth. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking of Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth. I'm even thinking of Banishers, where you'll do a main quest and they'll just dump like, okay, here's 15 hours of side quests. Then you'll do another main quest and it's like, all right, here's like 8 more side quests to do. And I just like go into autopilot and I get so overwhelmed. And it always messes up the pacing of the game for me. And like, sure, you know, we've talked so much about The Witcher 3, you and I, Blood, about, you know, you're not supposed to do all the check marks. You're not supposed to do everything. It's kind of just there and you do it organically. But it's like, it's really hard as a gamer who wants to see everything the game has to offer and wants to, wants to feel all those stories and get all the XP and items and stuff.
Well, even this, it's like I'm like trying to check every house and I'm like trying to like mentally figure out, it's like, wait, because it's so complex, it's like which house have I looked in and which ones have I not? Have I checked every shop, et cetera, et cetera?
The way this game handles quests and side content is incredible. There are no characters with exclamation points over their heads. You literally just have to talk to people and they might give you a quest.
Yeah.
It's so well done. It makes everything feel more meaningful. It makes the sense of discovery magical. Because when you find a side quest and then you go do it, it feels special. It feels like, oh, like, was I even supposed to find this? Like, oh, I feel so good that I was smart enough to, you know, track this person down, talk to them. That leads to other things.
Yeah, that is like...
It's huge.
One of the really good things about... Which side do I need to be on? That's one of the really good things about this is that it doesn't, like, hold your hand in that way. Like, you have to figure out the steps and employ logic to solve a lot of these quests sometimes, you know? Yeah. There are a couple where I'm, like, trying to find this guy some, like, newt liquor or whatever, and, like, I don't know where that is. I don't know how to find that.
Yeah.
I'm still looking. But, like, you know, I'm sure I'll find it. But, like, other quests are, you know, you talk to villagers, you get clues, and you go and follow those clues, and you solve the thing. Like, it's awesome.
Incredible.
Yeah, well...
Being able to... we were so lucky and fortunate that we got multiple codes, because the experience of talking to Isla about this game for the last, like, 5 or 6 days or whatever, where it's just that magical... Elden Ring FromSoft feeling of like, did you find this? No. Like, oh, what happened with this quest? Like, oh, this person killed this person or this person killed themselves. And it's like, wait, what? Or like,
that's the other thing is like, anybody can die. You can raise your affinity with any NPC pretty much, which I don't know what that'll really lead to. Yeah, bouncing back and forth with Huber as we've been playing this has been magical, and also having no other resource.
Yes.
And then after a while, some people kind of figured maybe I had it and started like other reviewers like were asking me things, and I was like, unofficially, you buy this and do that and this and that. You know, it's just like, it's just such a cool, like the zeitgeist when there are no resources, when you can't look anything up, which I would recommend attempting to play it that way for yourself if you want an unadulterated experience.
It makes it so magical.
Yeah.
I also love, like, I have so much anxiety, like, in The Witcher 3, when, like, a quest fails, it'll be in your log there, like a mark of shame forever. It'll be like, quest failed, and it'll be there. For this, you don't fail any quests. They just end, and they can end in a variety of ways.
Yeah.
So it's really nice. It never...
The timed ones you can fail, right?
Yeah, but it won't be in your...
It won't say failed,
It
just
won't
like
ever
that person will just die.
Yeah, it won't ever say failed. Like, this game never feels like a checklist. The way everything just is given to you organically, and the way the side quests factor in, it just...
Well, you make your own checklist.
Exactly.
Like you say, like, in a way, this game is a gigantic checklist because you have so many desires that you want to do.
Yeah.
You know, you're juggling like, okay, I'm in this area, so I should do these 3 quests right now, but that one will take me over there, so I can upgrade my weapon with that guy over there while I'm there because I have the thing for that. You know, and like you're constantly thinking like that because it's very old school in a lot of ways. It doesn't have, like, I have fast traveled fewer than 10 times probably in my 60 hours of playing this game. I have, I think right now, 12 fairy stones. You know, so that means I've had like 20 maybe the whole game.
Right.
And like, that's bananas. And like, you have to place port crystals in a certain, like other places, like 3 places I've found have port crystals already, or 2, I think. And, you know, you have to place that, and that's the thing you can fast travel to. So it's like you have to get there and have an item that weighs a whole bunch of weight, by the way, to be able to fast travel back there again. Like, the game doesn't want you to do that. It wants you to live in it. They say that, like, specifically, like, this is about living in this world and experiencing the magic and
my pawn keeps yelling at me about
that.
picking things up. I'm trying to figure out that balance.
Everything feels
they'll always be like, you're like to get overburdened if you pick up everything you see.
Everything feels so earned, and it makes the entire game matter more. This is one of the best video game economies I've ever experienced.
Holy crap, yeah.
I never have enough money for anything.
Yeah.
Finding money is huge. Finding items is huge. Every time you find something, it matters. Everything in this game matters because you have to work a little bit for it. Like, when you are setting out on an adventure, because fast travel is so expensive and rare, you feel like frickin' Fellowship of the Ring going out on a journey. Like, when you're out there, it gets so dangerous.
Yeah.
You don't want to overextend, but also it's like, well, I'm all the way out here. Like, what if I just go a little more to explore this area? I might find something, but also I'm losing health. Everyone is fatigued. Like, we got to get back to town.
Yeah, no, I had that experience last night because, because I'm still super early. Like, I just got to the main big town with Brant and all of that. But I had one where it's like, okay, go out to this goblin cave, right? Simple stuff, but it's one that you need to unlock the extra vocations. You know, it's like you need to go get these weapons from the goblin cave. And I got out there, and then I was, going through the goblin cave, and I came out the other side, and it's like, oh, it's night now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, crap.
Yeah, night is so intense.
Because you cannot see anything.
Yep.
And then there's crazy monsters just like outside of your cone of vision half the time. And you need a campsite to be able to camp.
You need a campsite, and you need camping gear, which is very heavy.
Yeah.
And encumbrance in this
just
game is
carry
real.
that. Oh, encumbrance is so real.
Yeah.
So I got through, I got a little ways down the road because like, okay, I can go this way. This will get me back there. But then there's like a freaking Minotaur guarding the road.
Yeah.
And I fought him a couple of times, but then my health started, because basically you have this, it's called the loss gauge.
Yep.
So your max health goes down.
Yeah.
And so do your pawns. So after a while, like if you fail on a fight, like you just got to get out of there. You got to go do something else. And so, yeah, I basically just had to go back to the cave, backtrack to the cave because it was essentially safe now. And then by the time I got out the other side, it was daylight again. I was able to get back to town.
So for how... I just think it's such a nice balance between something like Elden Ring or Dark Souls, but then also on the other end, like a Ghost of Tsushima or an Assassin's Creed. I feel like this game really straddles the line. It's its own. It has its own identity, of course, and does its own thing. But for as hardcore as some of the quests are in terms of like, what am I doing? Like, fast travel is really difficult. For as hardcore it is, it's also like chill in some regards. Like a lot of the trash mobs are like easy to get through. Like if you die, the penalty isn't super stiff. The main quests will always be like, yo, it's this way. Like you're never really lost
it's a weird game like that because, I haven't died like maybe ever, like at all, except for if I like fell and just chose not to use a wake stone because I was like, it'll just be easier to just not waste it. Yeah, there's an item for reviving yourself, that are not, they're finite,
Yeah. Well, and like, you need to collect 3 smaller items to make the main item.
Yeah. Like if you go into an area, it's very, very easy to get overwhelmed if you're like out of your depth. It's easy to get out of your depth, but it's also easy to like read the tea leaves on that and be like, okay, I should not be here, and like get back out of there.
Yeah.
And like
like with that Minotaur I was fighting.
Yeah, and it's like it's such an interesting game because it is really hardcore and daunting and complicated, and yet so cozy and friendly, and like you feel like you're living in this world, and like I love it so much.
I think the UI and all that stuff is also really strong. I've been big on UIs lately. We'll get into it. That's one of the reasons I never connect with Team Ninja games, because their UI is like an encyclopedia and just like numbers.
That's very true.
Everything's just insane. I feel
this
like Dragon's Dogma 2...
feels like you're reading like huge entries. Yeah.
Yeah, Dragon's Dogma 2 is very streamlined, very easy to understand, like weight limits and, your skills and all of that. It's just very nice and straightforward.
It's such a... that brings up a point, that I hadn't really thought about, where it's like, it's such an interesting game because it like, for a game that'll make you walk the same stretch of road 8 times, and it takes 20 minutes every time, it actually respects your time quite really a lot does. Because it doesn't pad things out with unnecessary like gameplay fluff. Everything just is what it is. And also like it unlike most games that have classes, like Elden Ring you brought up, right? Elden Ring classes by and large are FromSoft games, they feel like variations on a theme, right? It's like, okay, your sword is slower or faster, or it's two-handed, and like magic feels different, but like you still feel like the same kind of person doing these things. The vocations in this feel pretty wildly different. Some of them
fun.
Some of them change the way you play fundamentally.
Yes.
And I wouldn't have said it, but they put it in their marketing, and we've talked about it in previews, but there's a class called the Trickster, which is so weird. You can't do damage. You just like throw smoke around and make like illusory walls and shit, and it's so hard and weird, and it's about party comp and like bolstering your pawns and stuff. It's so wild to play not even really a support class to your NPC party. The pawns are so sweet.
Well, and I think that's one of the things because I didn't really play that much of the first Dragon's Dogma. I'd only like streamed it for a couple of hours, and so I didn't really get into the pawn system. Whereas like in the second one, like it's right there in your face right away.
Yeah.
And so just trying to like figure out that whole aspect of like, I'm not just playing as myself, I'm playing as this party. And like I had immediately just like rented you guys as pawns because I saw them in there, and I'm like, oh yeah, like that'll be fun just to like see your pawns.
Yeah.
But they're like level 40s, and so like I would just like walk up to a group of goblins and I'm like, flames and giant ice
Was it free to
waves and-
hire, or did you need?
They were free to
crystals?
hire.
Because
Yeah, don't hire
'Cause
your
we're friends, I guess.
pawns if they're
Got
way
it.
over leveled, because they will just tank everything for you.
Yeah, everything. Yeah, usually if they're above your level, they cost these
Yeah,
rift crystals,
yeah.
which I don't even really know how you get yet.
You just get them by doing stuff.
By doing stuff. Okay.
Yeah, finding rift crystals.
But
and
usually, if they're higher than you, you have to spend to
Yeah,
to,
yeah.
to recruit them. But with your friends, I guess you don't have to do that. And so they were just like laying waste
Hell yeah.
to everyone. And
Get
then
'em.
Huber, your guy Smokey,
Yeah,
he
Smokey's
was
my old
he was
cat.
doing the whole like. As soon as I would get a quest, he's like, "I know where it is. I know." And he just
Follow
like
me,
just
follow me.
runs.
I've done this.
And I'm
yeah,
like,
because we've done every quest.
okay. And so I follow him, and then and then we're on the way, and then Isla's pawn is like, hey, I remember there's a treasure chest over here. It's like, oh, okay, but Smokey's like down the road now, so I guess we'll come back for that.
Just want to highlight combat specifically. It is so fun the entire time. Leveling up all the vocations is extremely addicting. You have your main character level. You're always earning XP for your character, but then your vocations, which are your jobs, basically, you can rank those up to 9. Some buffs from them carry over to other vocations. You'll unlock some augments.
Yeah.
It'll be like more defense, more attack, whatever. You can then use those on any class. So
And so people were asking in chat, because this game is unique in games like this. Is you don't pick a class in the beginning of the game and then stick with it forever. Like switching around is actually encouraged literally in game. They're like, there's no big deal, just switch whenever you want. Like the vocation people will tell you that in game.
Yeah, well, I think
it's
the fact that you unlock new ones so quickly,
Really quickly, yeah.
I think is a big part of communicating that.
Yeah, and like the augment system is really good, and like so you'll dip into Archer for 4 or 5 levels to get the stamina augment because it'll help all your other classes
Yep.
because your stamina will come back way
but then
faster.
also
like,
mage level 10 or 9 or whatever has more stamina regen.
yeah,
And it's like, dude, I'm always running out of stamina. I need that.
yeah, and
But then
like,
also, if you're a mage, it's like, yo, I'm dying really fast. Like, let me get that warrior defense or health. Like,
yeah,
so smart.
and so like jumping around is really encouraged,
It
and
really is.
it's rewarded, and you get really cool stuff, and you get to experience these really wild and different ways to play this game.
They're
And
so fun and different. The
They're
fighter,
so different.
The warrior has like a giant. It's what I did in Darkest Dungeon 1. It has the giant hammer or sword. You attack so slow, but it starts to do a lot of damage, and it excels at like knocking big enemies over. Then like mage, you die a little quicker, but also the AoE spells can just like disintegrate.
Yeah.
The wolves and goblins. and-
Seeing like the tornado attacks in particular are pretty nuts.
Yeah.
But then
And
I also like
combat
the-
is so fun in this game. Like clinging to a giant beast
it's
and just stabbing them down is my favorite thing to do this year in games.
and it's
easily.
and it's what's crazy is there are a few classes that can grapple on to the things, and even that feels different per class, right? Like my favorite, so I've got Thief, Mystic Spearhand, Magic Archer, and Trickster all maxed out, and I'm gonna try to max out all of them, but like Thief is really quick. You scrabble up guys. One of the augments is like lose way less stamina when you're climbing on an enemy, and
I need that. Yeah.
and you get one of the higher level thief abilities is called Gut and Run. And if you're on a weak spot, you just stab the weak spot and jump off and pull it off.
Dope.
And it'll do like 3 health bars a day. It's like insane.
Yeah.
It's like a nuke.
But then the warrior has my favorite one. It's like the gouging skewer or something.
Yeah.
Where you legit just keep stabbing the beast. It is so fun. It's so addicting.
And
you can even do it on smaller enemies. You'll jump on them and they're on the ground and you're just going, gah, 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 gah. It's insane.
And then conversely, Magic Archer and Archer, you're obviously a ranged class, so you're like staying way out. But Magic Archer is really cool because you're changing your elemental things to try to take advantage of different monsters' weak points and weaknesses and stuff like that. And it's just every class plays so differently.
So differently.
It's really, really
They're all
interesting.
so fun, and they all use different gear, which makes,
Yeah.
again, everything in this game better. Because it's like, oh, I'm going to switch to mage, but my gear is shit. Oh, guess what? I don't have any money. I got to go explore more. Like, leveling up, not only leveling up the classes, but gearing up the classes takes considerable resources. So...
And, like, getting to party comps. So, like, in the game, if you've never played Dragon's Dogma before, because it's weird. It's a single-player game. The only multiplayer element is that you, as a player, create a pawn, which is like your main pawn, which is your kind of like number 2, your Riker, your second in command, you know. And they're like mystical beings. They're not strictly human. They're like whatever. There's story stuff about it, but you design your main pawn, and then your party consists of your main pawn, and then you can hire 2 other pawns made by other people. And so you get to completely customize and outfit and pick the vocation and gear and everything for yourself and your main pawn, right? So you get total control over both of you. And then you can change the gear on most other pawns, but you don't get to pick their vocation and stuff. Instead, you pick them by their vocation, basically, in the Rift. And so you can formulate your party composition out of the 6 or whatever classes that pawns can have. And it's really, really fun and really important to kind of like pick classes that complement yourself. So if you're far away, you want to pick pawns that go close up to keep them off of you, and vice versa, you know. And if nobody's a healer, you know, hire a mage so that they can heal. It's so much fun.
Yeah, one of the things that was kind of interesting with those dynamics too is I came across like the rift stones that you get in the wild.
Yeah,
and
which come super important if your pawn, for example, just kind of yeets herself into the water and dies for no reason.
Yeah.
It's like, why did you do that, Belfrea?
Yeah. She did that on mine too. But I was close enough to town where I just hired her again. But there's when you do those ones in the wild, they'll give you basically like a freebie for a high level. The one, so this guy will pop up and you can hire them without using rift crystals. And then, since you guys' pawns were annihilating everyone for, I just another thing that's nice is you just have random pawns wandering in the wilderness. And so there's this pawn walked up to me. It looked like a female Geralt. Nice. You know, and it's like, okay, I'll hire you and tell Smokey to take a hike.
Yep. See you later, Smokey.
But what's the other part about that, the kind of loop, and the reason you want to do that is that when your pawn goes out to other people's worlds, like you have these quests that you can assign and rewards that you can give to people. And so like one of the basic ones is there's like, okay, use this pawn for like a full day and night. Yeah. And then you'll get the reward. Yeah. But there are badges and stuff like that too. So
you don't need no stinking badges.
If your pawn kills a Cyclops, they'll get a Cyclops badge. Yeah. And so you can set that as a quest for people. And so when your pawn, you know, then I think it's like when you
I put a bounty on Cyclops. It's like, yo, if you kill a Cyclops, I pay you like 3,000 gold. Yeah.
Yeah, but to get that badge, your pawn has to kill 30 of them. So it's like...
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, which I think is balanced for when this game is actually out and not just like, you know, a few hundred people are playing it, but like thousands and hopefully millions are playing it. Because like, I was like, 30 Cyclops is like... I've probably killed like 15 right now, you know? Yeah.
This game is so... I don't want to overhype it.
We're very excited to hear what you think of it.
I'm very excited to hear what everyone thinks.
I mean, I'm digging it so far. And like I said, I barely touched the first one.
It's just constantly it's constantly surprising.
Yeah.
There's no filler. There is not one time in this game ever did I not want to do something, or what I was bored, or like, oh, I got to do this now real quick, you know? Like
it feels I was thinking about this. I was thinking about this the other day while I was driving and not playing Dragon's Dogma 2, which was tearing out my soul. And it feels like the fantasy you have as a little kid when you watched Robin Hood Prince of Thieves like 6 times over a weekend, and you were pretending to be in the medieval times, right? And you were like running around outside with a stick or whatever and pretending to be, you know, in the medieval times. And like this game makes you live that, like lets you live that, and it feels so good. And the pawns, they keep you company, dude. They're
very endearing.
They feel like your family. They're very endearing.
Like when you take someone out and they're cheering for you,
you high five each other.
It's so jolly.
They'll say really funny stuff like, materials, eh? Well, I shan't deny they have their uses. And I'm just like, yeah, that's true. I love this game.
It's incredible.
Yeah, I really like some of the...
You do not need to have played the first one.
You
by
do
the way.
not
No.
need to play. You know I'm a psychopath when it comes to playing things in the order that they were released. And I promise you do not need to play Dragon's Dogma 1 at all.
Let me put it to you this way. The icon on the PlayStation 5 dashboard or whatever says Dragon's Dogma 2. Nowhere inside the game does it say Dragon's Dogma 2. It just says Dragon's Dogma. Inside the game, inside itself, this is just called Dragon's Dogma. It's a requel. It's a reboot. It's not. Yeah. Like if you've played the first one, you will obviously have some. You'll have a jump start on understanding how the hell to do this weird ass game. But beyond that, and like basic story, like general gist, no, you don't need to have played it.
Not at all. Dive in, jump in, head first.
Yeah, some of those other things that I like, is just the crazy physics stuff. Like here, like when you like undam the river, or like there's like sometimes you'll get boulders that you just like roll downhill onto guys, or rocks that you can throw at guys. And I think it was Mitch was posting clips of like throwing his pawns across ledges to open up treasure chests.
You can do that. Yeah.
Throwing them into water and stuff.
Well, and like different vocations have different abilities that you can use in creative ways out in the world to just like get up and get a chest, or like knock a ladder down for yourself and stuff like that. Like sorcerers can levitate. Like that's helpful, like
I saw
crazy.
that on my
like just
phone.
comparing it to like, The Witcher 3 or something. It's like the combat in this is like infinitely superior to something like The Witcher 3.
Preach.
But the only thing where I'm like, okay, it's not as good as like other games would be like the main storyline. And I'm not saying it's bad or anything. It's just like, it's fine. There's some good characters, and like the side quests have like really like a lot of freedom, and they play out, well. And I found myself getting invested in the storylines of a lot of those side quests, but it's very like, political.
Right.
There's like two nations that have differing viewpoints. There's a dragon that you must kill as your destiny. Like very like normal fantasy. Like,
but what I appreciate about the way that it tells the story is that it the way it unfolds, it feels kind of very natural.
Totally.
Like it's like you don't get information about a different place. I'm gonna hide the B-roll because it's got maps going on. You don't get information about a place that you're not in unless someone has knowledge about that place. And like when you're in the main city, for the more human side of things, they'll be talking about that political family, that royal family. And if you're in Batal, where the Beastren are mostly living, like they'll be talking about their empress and stuff like that. And it's just like you get it as it would come to you if you were in this world.
Very
and
good point.
It feels very natural to me. And like the story internally has holes in it if you dig deep enough that are intentional. Like it questions itself in really interesting ways.
Yeah, but just like the presentation as well, I think of like the Witcher cutscenes or Final Fantasy Rebirth cutscenes.
It's much less
how
story
immaculate they are
than those.
Whereas like, you're not getting that here, but again, that's like not the main focus.
Yeah,
right?
I would say that that's a strength for me. Like,
I know you do. I know you would.
Like to me, it's like the story. Stories in games like this don't get in the way. Like
Totally.
I love them to set things up and to feel the vibe, but at the same time, it's like, let me control the pace of the story, which this game kind of does, which is really nice.
Yeah.
It's sort of like a better, like I know a lot of people complain about Breath of the Wild about the story being kind of fragmented like that, and this feels like a more successful application of that kind of more like locationally based kind of storytelling, if that makes any sense.
Well, I mean, the thing that it kind of, to me, is the comparison is like Elder Scrolls. Because like one of the things that one of the characters I came across in the first village where the dragon was, Melv, like there's like this girl there that wanted some medicine or whatever, right? And there's a couple of different ways that you can give her medicine, but then you see her back in the capital and her dad's there and he's like, oh yeah, thanks for helping her out, you know, and gives you a discount at the shop.
Totally.
You know, and that kind of thing where, you know, all of these different seemingly pointless quote unquote NPCs actually have names and have places 100%. That they're going to go and travel and all of that kind of thing. And like some guy, I was fighting some harpies.
Nothing ever reached
some guy I didn't even see
Baron,
like fell off of a tower, you know, and it's like, oh, you can resurrect him with the wake stone. I'm like, I don't have a wake stone. It's like, well, you could find him in the morgue eventually. And like, I don't know where the morgue is. Yeah. So I hope that guy is never important.
Yeah.
Like, random dude just died.
It's funny. Very special game. I want Damiani to play it.
Yeah, I need to find time, but I want to get into it at some point for sure.
Definitely not a game that you're gonna want to rush through.
Yeah.
Like if you don't like immersing yourself in a world and walking places, you know, I would say that this is a more interactive Death Stranding as far as like amount of walking.
A little bit, yeah.
Like, if that's not for you, this might not be for you. I would say though that Dragon's Dogma is weird as hell
in such a good way.
In the best ways, but like if you didn't play the first one, which again you do not have to have done to play this, but if you don't have any experience with this and don't know what the hell is going on, don't bail right away.
Do not bail.
Don't bail right away. Like give yourself some time to get into it. Maybe try
I'm still
a different
trying to figure out the
vocation.
combat because I'm used to lock-ons and that kind of thing.
No
and so like having to
lock-on.
move the camera around constantly is a little like, okay.
It'll
What's
be
the reason for no
disorienting.
lock-on? What is their justification?
It
didn't bother me whatsoever, but I
no,
wonder.
it doesn't bother you once you accept it.
It doesn't bother me at all, but I wonder what their.
I
why.
think, this is what I like about this combat system is that it feels very, like, free-flowing, like especially as like the thief, where you're fast and you're zipping around between different enemies, or as the magic archer, where you're kind of sweeping the screen to find where the bad guys are and then locking onto weak points. You know, like it feels very balletic. It's like dancing. I don't know. Once you get used to it and get good at it, it feels very. There's a flow to it that I really appreciate. That I think maybe locking on would kind of disrupt. I don't know. But yeah, like I've talked to another person who's reviewing this, and they were like, "Yeah, I really didn't like the mage at first. I think they started with, but then they said they love it now.
So fun.
But they just didn't understand that like." Casting a spell takes time. Like you have to stand there and not get hit for a second to incant your spell. Like this game, it has a stamina system, but like sometimes you pay for skills in like not getting hit for 4 seconds, and like that takes getting used to. So I would just say like experiment, try different classes if you're not liking it at first.
You at least have to climb on a cyclops and stab it in the throat.
Stab it in the eye. Its weak spot is its eye. But
please.
And like it's one of those games that rewards your curiosity very, very well.
God,
and like
dude.
your dedication. And like if you
I haven't felt
if you're
this rewarded
curious,
since
it'll
Breath
reward
of the Wild.
you. Yeah, it is akin to Breath of the Wild, I would say, in that like you can be curious and look at a thing and just be like, oh, that looks weird, and then go there, and then that'll lead you to like 4 hours of insanity.
Yeah.
And
I can't overstate, Isla, how much the exploration is the best.
I was playing
with
earlier
combat
today.
too. Combat, exploration, economy, like every freaking thing. The quests are really fun.
I was playing it today, and I'm like end game 60 hours into it, whatever, and like I discovered 3 things I never even knew were in this game. And I'm just like, what? Like 3 huge things.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, this game is bananas. We've been talking about it for like a straight hour, but I love it so much.
Forever.
I could talk about it for another 4 hours.
Same.
So,
Goaty.
Yeah.
like for real. Like it's what, like not like Dragon's Dogma 1 is one of my favorite games. You know, it's in my top 10 for sure. And this one is better than that one. Like
100%.
it's better than Dragon's Dogma. Like it is Dragon's Dogma 1 perfected. Like playing it on PS5, the frame rate for me didn't really like dip. It just got a little like weird in like the bigger towns.
Yeah,
But,
definitely.
like,
I saw some dips in town, but I also saw
like,
parts where like
that
it
was,
went
like, it.
higher frame rate too.
Yeah.
right. And like nothing has, and I'm not, you know, the most like it doesn't piss me off if something has like a little bit of dipping, but like nothing has bothered me performance wise. I've not seen any real bugs. I've not seen any problems like that. Like
It's so weird because the quality mode on Rebirth, like, legit gave me a headache.
oh yeah, I couldn't play it for
Like,
more than 2 seconds.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, like I wanted to like throw up, so I had to do performance mode. But this game is like targeting 30. It's uncapped, they said, and it goes below 20 or below 30 and above 30 sometimes.
It never bothered
That's
me.
Great. It
That's
looked
funny that
really
you're saying
good. Like
about-
my eyes were pleased. Like it looked good. It didn't
It's
make
a
me
beautiful.
ill.
That's funny what you're saying about
beautiful
Rebirth, because Rebirth's when I haven't quite figured out which mode I want to be on
Dude.
yet, because the performance is like the blur on his face. I'm like, this, I can't. This is
Dude, when I put
The
it
quality mode gave me a legit headache.
Same, dude. When
Yeah.
I put Rebirth into quality mode for maybe 12 seconds. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I can't.
The camera just like.
I just went back and forth, and I'm like, I can't deal with this right now. So like, I had to do
There's-
something else.
There's a patch out, I think, today or yesterday, though,
Okay.
Oh, okay.
that is messing with the graphics and performance. So
For Rebirth,
Yeah.
there's no choice in Dragon's Dogma 2.
Right.
It's just like this is how the game is. And like it's funny because Dragon's Dogma 1 has, you know, people always lovingly say that it's a janky. This one I would say that it's not janky. It's charming and it's weird, and like intentional design decisions are unlike many other games you've ever played. But like they're all things that make it special.
It is so special.